How does all the recorded content magically fit into our screens no matter the device or place? It's thanks to one irreplaceable technology called video encoding. Video encoding is the technology that allows you to turn your huge, heavy raw files into compatible formats so that you can share, store, and finally watch them. Hi there, I'm Anush from inoRain, and today we'll talk about video encoding, how it works, and what's its role in streaming. Let's start. Now, what exactly is video encoding? By definition, video encoding is the process which allows you to compress your large video files into compatible formats so that you can store, share, and most importantly, stream your video content. But where does encoding happen? It can happen via two places, let's say. So the first one is via software encoders, the second is via hardware encoders. Let's say your encoding happens through your mobile app directly or on your browser. That's software encoders working right there. But if it's happening right in your camera IP, then it's hardware encoding. But before we get deeper into this one, you need to remember one important thing, which is no matter where encoding happens, the goal is the same, is to reduce file size without compromising too much visual quality. That's it. Now let's get into encoding from a more technical side. For that, let's bring examples. Say you have a 30 frame per second video going on, which means that every second you have 30 individual images in your video or 1080 individual images in a minute. Now let's put numbers on it. Well, you have a minute-long video, right? It's 1 second, one uncompressed full HD image is 6 megabits, right? For a minute-long video, you have 1800 images times 6 megabytes, which equals to 10,800 megabytes. This makes your video file unstreamable, but with encoding, the size of your video file is compressed back to 200 megabytes, making it streamable again. Shall we sum up what encoding does in video streaming with 3 main points? So the first one is it keeps only the changes between frames. Second is it reuses repeated background parts. And the third, most important one, it excludes all the parts, details and colors that the human eye cannot detect, making the video lighter and lighter. The key takeaway here is, without encoding, the video file consists of frames that are too heavy, too many frames, too heavy. With encoding, they become streamable. That's all. Now let's get back to where encoding happens, hardware versus software encoders. Now that we know what encoding is, how it works, what's the purpose of using it in general, let's get back to the topic I promise we will discuss, which is software encoders versus hardware encoders. Remember, these were the places where encoding happened, right? Let's start with software encoders. Software encoders are on your computer or a server using the system CPU or GPU to compress your video. For example, a streamer can be using a software encoder to stream live sports on YouTube. Software encoders are extremely popular. There are reasons for that, and we can start with the first and most important, which is software encoders are easy to install and easy to update. Second is those are more cost efficient than hardware encoders. Next up, they are flexible and accessible. It's already understandable why. You can update them very easily. And the last, they're ideal for any kind of content. They're ideal for webinars, Zoom calls. They're just too easy to use. They save time and resources. Next up, hardware encoders. Now, hardware encoders are physical devices. These are dedicated for encoding. They are big devices that need to be set up. Now, you might think if we have the software version, if it's so much easy to use, if it's efficient, why do we still have the hardware, right? Well, hardware encoders are necessary for bigger encoding projects, let's say. You cannot imagine a TV station using a software encoding for 24/7 to deliver content for a lot of different users. We need dedicated hardware encoders that can work 24/7, that will be reliable and stable, and that can, deliver low latency streaming. For example, a TV station has to use a hardware encoder because it needs to deliver a smooth live stream without risking any software crashes. because software encoders cannot meet the same level of professionalism needed for TV stations as hardware encoders can. Now both are needed, so we cannot replace one with another. Software encoders are needed for flexibility, hardware encoders are needed for reliability. Key components of video encoding. By now you already know a lot about video encoding, but there are two more things to learn. So the first one is video compression techniques, the second one is video codecs. These two together make video encoding possible so that video encoding can make video streaming possible. If video encoding is the process of compressing large video files into compatible formats, then video codecs are the tools that are used for compression. So let's start with the most popular video codec, which is H.264 or AVC. So this codec is the most popular for a reason. It's compatible with almost any device and is the standard for all live streaming, Blu-ray discs, and even cable broadcasting. Second codec is VP9. VP9 was created by Google and it is the alternative, the royalty-free alternative for H.264. It's better at compression, but it's limited to browser-based use only. So if you're using Chrome or Web ITC, the chances are you're already using VP9. The third codec is HEVC or H.265. So this is basically the same as H.264, but it spends less bandwidth, so it's perfect for 4K, HDR and 8K streaming. Technically efficient, but the adoption has stopped due to royalty and licensing issues. The fourth codec is AV1, and AV1 was created by the Alliance for Open Media to stop the licensing problems. And AV1 is better than H.264 and 265, but it uses huge amount of processing power, making it extremely expensive. Finally, the fifth codec, which is VVC, also known as H.266. It pushes compression even further, it's even better, but again, due to licensing issues, it's not as widely used. To sum up, H.264 is the most popular and compatible codec, VP9 is the best for web and browser-based streaming, H.265 is better suited for high-quality 4K streaming, AV1 is ideal for large-scale streaming platforms, and finally, VVC is more of a future-looking codec that's promising. There are two main types of compression techniques. The first one is lossless compression, the second one is lossy compression. So lossless compression allows you to reduce file size without taking out any data. You can restore your original video in full quality. But lossless compression is only for archiving and editing your video. You cannot stream with it. But you can stream with lossy compression. So lossy compression allows you to take out the data that the human eye will not notice. Remember the colors, the details we talked about. So lossy compression makes your video streamable. It's perfect for video streaming. Let's sum it up. Lossless compression is for archiving and editing. Lossy compression is for video streaming. Time to talk about video decoding. At a basic level, encoding and decoding are two sides of the same process. Now, encoding is compressing the video file to make it deliverable. Decoding is uncompressing the same video file to make it watchable. Let's say you're a streamer, you have viewers. Your stream right here is getting encoded to make it deliverable all the way to your viewers, to your users. And right here at your user's device, it's getting decoded, uncompressed, so they can watch your content. So encoding happens on the sender's device, decoding happens on the receiver's device, which can be a set-top box, a TV, a web browser, doesn't matter. This is how it works. So as a conclusion, encoding and decoding are both needed for a smooth, enjoyable video streaming experience. This was pretty much all for the video. If you have any technical questions, feel free to write them in our comment section, and if it was insightful for you, you can hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.